I needed to do a video on this, guys. My first full golden deck. I'm not free to play. Before anyone says try and do that free to play, I'm not free to play. I bought the Arclight booster and a couple of packs here and there. Not a huge amount of money put into the game, but you know, I bought a few of the sort of the good value packs when they came out. But my first full golden deck, my average deck level is 2 levels below the maximum level for dungeons in terms of getting your deck fully golden. So after you've got a fully golden deck, by the way, I believe the rewards in the dungeon are gold. But at level 22, if you can complete the level 22 dungeon, it is full golden time. And I wanted to show you this video. I know that we're basically at the end of Dire Maul now, so it doesn't really matter. But if Dire Maul level rolls around again, hopefully some of the tactics that I've used are going to help you guys, especially, you know, what, 5 weeks or 4 weeks into the future. You know, the tactics that I'm going to show you here will be helpful because they're not like specifically exclusive to Rend Blackhand. Obviously, Rend makes it sort of easier because he reduces flying unit costs, but they're not specifically useful, specific to Rend Blackhand, and hopefully you'll learn something that you can use in lots of other scenarios too. Now, this Rend deck that I'm using is very heavy flying. I think whenever you play a Rend deck, pretty obviously, you need to have a lot of flying units in. He's an expensive leader. He's probably, I think he is just the most expensive leader in the game, 6 gold. So he reduces flying costs by 1 gold. So you need to have a lot of flying units in, at least 2, realistically, to make him feel valuable. But I've got 4. I love Gargoyle, great in PvE scenarios. Wing Buffet being, in my opinion, the best talent that you can have for it. It's just the most adaptable. In terms of Drake, I think it's one of the better flying units out there. It works with Blackrock, so obviously I get the 3 levels. And Mother Drake is the talent that I'd go for. Absolutely, these are the MVP units of almost the MVP units of the game. These units are insane. They are so good with Flame Burst. They're bad without Flame Burst, but with Flame Burst, they're absolutely nutty. I'm sure Flame Burst is going to get nerfed. Harpies with the Trinket Collector talent. These are only really useful on King Gordok because there is so much gold to get, or Gordok, or whatever the hell his name is. But there is so much gold to get, and they're only really good with Rend because it kind of brings them back down to their normal gold value. I've got a Safe Pilot with Gnomish Cloaking Device. I Safe Pilot another really, really good unit here, just not so good on the second boss because she immediately gets killed. Another MVP unit for me, if you've got the Picklock talent, is these guys. They are great defensive units because they stun coming out of stealth. They get you an economy advantage if you open up a chest. And in general, I just love these little dudes. They are 1 gold for a really useful unit, and they cycle your deck. So, yeah, that is my deck. Now, I'm not going to show you live gameplay because I recorded this on the sofa on my phone. So we're going to jump into a video, and I'm going to show you that. So give me a second. Okay, that should be the right... hopefully, that should be the right... sound for you guys. Now we're going to do a bit of replay analysis here. So this is the first boss. This is just for your information. The talent that I took was, I believe, Kobold. Yes. So the talent that I took is Really Big Candle. Really Big Candle is probably the best talent I think that you can take in almost any situation. There are a few talents that are kind of similar in terms of level, but I think Really Big Candle is just too useful. Like, it turns your Kobold, which is primarily a useless unit, into a 1-cost tank that can actually out-trade quite a few of your enemies, you know, trade up versus your enemies. So I think Really Big Candle is fantastic. So, on this guy, spawns, a Headhunter, and then a couple of Grunts. Grunts are very tanky, difficult to deal with. Headhunter is the problem here. You don't have to worry too much about the Grunts. The Headhunter is the problem. So you've got this Hunter... or Mountaineer coming towards you, not as much of an issue. These guys are the issue. You need something that is either going to immediately kill the Troll Headhunter or do enough splash damage that they start attacking each other. So what's going to happen here is that my Safe Pilot is going to come in, going to take out the Headhunter, as you can see, and then going to shoot at the 2 Grunts, which should get them to start attacking each other, which is what happens here. So that's exactly what we wanted. Now you can see over on this side, I dropped the Whelp eggs in front of the Mountaineer, and then I also have my Kobold going for it and getting me this gold. So that's very important that we pick up that first chest. And I'm going to immediately put pressure on this side with the Gargoyle. So we're going to speed up a little bit here. Just move through. So one of the big things that when you're fighting up in levels on PvE scenarios is that you are primarily looking to survive a lot of the time until you get to overtime. So one of the tactics that I opt for when I'm playing up in levels on PvE is that if I've got a lot of unbound units, especially if I've got Whelp eggs with Flame Burst, I'm often looking to kind of wait until overtime, and then I'm just going to spam as much unbound stuff at the boss as physically possible, especially with Flame Burst. And on this particular level, so, I mean, usually bosses tend to respect gold. On this boss, it really doesn't feel like they respect gold. They are spawning Huntress and like double Ogre Magi all the time. So it's just really annoying. Now, you can see that like Huntress is really, really good unit, and obviously trades up really nicely versus my Rend. But what you want to do in these scenarios, and generally a good rule of thumb for any PvE game, is that you want to take control of the towers as quickly as possible, because it buys you time. It helps you reduce sort of the pain of making mistakes, and in general, you want it for map control. So taking towers is really important. And you can see that I've managed to take that one closest to my base. I'm kind of in contention with the one that's over on the left-hand side here. Kobold spawning up near the Huntress is nice. I really want to take that gold because it's very difficult to get that gold. You can see what I mean here, by the way, as well as my Defias Bandits giving me a 4 gold off that chest, which is really nice. I get 1 gold at least off that Kobold there, and I'm going to send another safe pilot in just to try and ensure that they start attacking each other. On this level, like just doing a little bit of damage to the enemies so they start attacking each other helps you out massively. You have to play into the mechanic of this level, but you'll notice, as you can see, like he's just spawning so many expensive units, so it's very difficult at this stage in the game to sort of make a big push for it, because he just gets these Ogre Magi which just become very difficult to deal with. So what you really want to do a lot of the time is you're looking to just kind of push up slowly, try and take as much map control as possible, and once you established kind of like a strong base on both of these towers, sort of get as many things close to Kreeg as physically possible. Now you can see here, even though it looks like obviously I've lost these towers, they are very easily reclaimable. I'm still in control of that area, and you can see here I'm going to drop my Whelp eggs. They'll get triggered by the Huntress in a minute. Not able to get our hands on that chest, which is a bit annoying. Huntress again is another one that's really difficult to deal with. But you can see I'm essentially what my goal is right now is to just buy time. I'm really just trying to try and like essentially buy time so that I can get to overtime, where I can then just start spawning loads and loads of unbound stuff. And now you can see with overtime coming, it is now unbound spam time. I'm getting a Rend up towards the enemy. I'm going to just try and do as much as I can to prevent my base going down whilst I'm about to like look at an overtime win here. So you can see safe pilot going into the back. Spawn another load of Whelp eggs behind him. We now have Gargoyle making our way up, which is nice because as soon as that gold goes down, hopefully Huntress gets taken down here as well. And once Huntress is down, that means I'm going to spawn the Harpies. Harpies should be able to come in and do some damage here. Going to do another safe pilot to make sure Mountaineer doesn't ruin my day. And with 30 seconds remaining, I'm just again really looking to get those unbound spawns, and I'm doing it over and over again. They're really good. Like the chip damage that I'm getting from the Whelp eggs is absolutely insane. And I've finally got my level 46 Kobold at the end there, and it'll be safe pilot to oh, I missed. Oh my god, that's embarrassing. Oh, just about. So that's a really tough level to beat fairly, because essentially he spawns so many units at such a high value that you really can't trade up the right way. You play until overtime and then you just spam him with stuff. Playing until overtime kind of evens the scales, because it doesn't seem to me that he spawns more in overtime, whereas you can spawn more in overtime. So you really kind of need to play for overtime at this point, and then just as soon as overtime pops in, maybe if you feel comfortable enough to do it before overtime, drop a few Whelp eggs, drop a safe pilot or a war gun or whatever you've got to just deal a bit of chip damage to the boss. And then overtime is just like everything at the boss, and try and get whatever you can. If you don't have really big candle, I think the reality is that you're probably just not going to win. Really big candle just makes one of your units really strong. And so, yeah, I have to say that getting really big candle definitely helped when I was going for this final level. There's two tips. Units, spawn them back a little further from where you want them to do an action. So you don't want to spawn something like and have it immediately attack, because they'll just get blown up by the eyes. You don't want to spawn your Kobold right next to the gold vein, because it will just get killed while it's mining. What you want to do is spawn units that you know they need to move a little bit before they go and do something. So try and spawn them back a little bit. And then The other tip for this boss is obviously keep the boss facing one way for as long as possible and have your like high DPS units attack it from the other side. But of course, again, establish control of towers in PvE. It helps you massively, gives you way more spawn points and options. And I've often found that you can get a really good push on Imulthar at the start. And then after that, it gets a bit muddy. So that's why you get a good push at the start. And then you just drop a load of unbound eggs and unbound safe pilots on his head to try and finish him off. That helped me massively in this one. Okay. So again, with Imulthar, you can actually use the sort of the eyes to your advantage because they do a huge amount of burst damage. Like they just blow everything up. So if you can get unbound spawns on the boss, the eyes can actually help you out. So what I'm looking to do here is take the tower once more. Oh, sorry, Light Feather doesn't give you stealth. Of course it doesn't. Sorry, I've just talked rubbish. Light Feather gives you the shield, which is actually, again, still super nice for the Whelps, still super nice for the Harpies. Not so effective versus this boss, because obviously he deals damage, like, every few milliseconds. But, here we go. I mean, we've managed to take that tower super early here. And now it's going to be about just sort of using the push from my tanks on the right-hand side to coincide with some high DPS coming behind him. This is a boss that... it's really interesting. I'm just going to pause it here. This is a boss that's quite like the original WoW. You need to tank him away and have your DPS behind him. So if you can keep him facing the other way whilst like Harpies or something just attacking from the back, it's like very easy to take this guy out. And you can see like on my first push, I've already done an absolutely boatload of damage. And now I can see that it's essentially the case of just either just using some unbound minions when I get access to them. You see, he's able to just kill the Harpies instantly. For me now, it's just about surviving until I can just drop unbound minions on this guy's head. You can see I'm going to drop Rend. Rend will get taken over by the Banshee. You have to be worried about the Banshees here, but I'm not too worried. They're not going to take my base out before I'm able to deal damage to him. I'm just waiting for Safe Pilot. Safe Pilot should end the game, which you can see here. Oh, I didn't get Safe Pilot to end the game. Right, well, I'm gonna. Apparently, I just start panicking a little bit. I'm like, I need to cycle to my unbound minions. You can see that they're next. So I just drop the Drake on that side to try and buy some time, and then yeah, there we go. We can drop the Flame Burst. Whelp eggs on top of his head. This is why Whelp eggs are just so good. They can help chip down bosses, and just because I got a really good push off at the start with the Harpies pushing up the left-hand side, and then my tanks pulling into the right-hand side. Really, like, the only thing with that boss that you have to be concerned about. Personally, I think movement speed's the best here if I was going to go back and do this again. Oh, okay, right. So, stealth is also good. Maybe that's why I got confused earlier that I thought I'd take as well. Stealth is also good, really good for two reasons here. Harpies getting stealth means that they're always going to get onto their target, which is one of the biggest problems with Harpies, is that they often don't get on their target. So Harpies getting stealth is really nice. Secondly, Whelp eggs having stealth and shield is super nice, and both Harpies and Whelps having stealth and shield is super nice, because Whelp eggs will spawn, they'll be stealthed and have shield, they'll block damage when they unstealth, and they should be able to get 2 attacks off. Harpies will get on their target, they'll block the first attack, and hopefully do a bit of damage as well. Out of all the bosses, I think that Kreeg and Imulthar are significantly harder than King Gordok. The reason that King Gordok is really easy is because he's got, in my eyes, a fun but super simple strategy to beat him. If you've got Whelp eggs with Flame Burst and you've got another unbound like Safe Pilot, makes this kind of trivial, in my opinion. Now, the trick to King Gordok is trying to time getting the commandos or the lieutenants or whatever they're called to attack him at the same time. The other trick, especially when you're dealing with King Gordok at levels above you, is actually trying to kill the healer. So the little healer that stands behind him, often you can ignore him at lower levels. At this level, I actually think that you need to kill him, and you can do that if you've got Flame Burst and Whelp eggs and Safe Pilot. It's going to be harder if you don't have Flame Burst. I will just put that out there. Flame Burst is such a useful talent. It's such an insane addition for Whelp eggs that you kind of need it. So if you don't have Flame Burst, it's going to be much harder. Not impossible, but it will be much harder. So I want my Rend to go and take out Ogre Dude, whatever his name is, on that side. And it's a little bit harder. I kind of usually want my Kobold to go right. So I want my Kobold to go towards the dark, the Dark Elf, the Knight, what is the name? Blood Elf. I want my Kobold usually to go towards the Blood Elf because there's more gold to get at the start here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to send my Kobold to the right. I'm going to send Rend to the left. And obviously, my Gargoyles will not attack the Lieutenants, just so you're aware. Gargoyles will not attack the Lieutenants. They'll walk straight past them. So if you have a Gargoyle in this map, you just send it straight up the middle because it'll take the tower for you, and that's actually the most useful thing that you can do until it starts to attack the boss. So you can see here, Rend able to take out the Lieutenant on the left, and I'm just about to see the Lady Silvermoon, whatever her name is, go down. You can see I've got Rend over on the right-hand side as well. So I've managed to time it so that both the bosses are going down at similar times. You can see here, already have got a spawn on the left-hand side, but there are obviously some minions to stop this going through. I'm actually going to Whelp eggs this Huntress because I don't want her to deal with like all my harpies. I think I Whelp egged. Do I not Whelp egg? I don't Whelp egg. I actually would have probably Whelp egged this Huntress, but actually might have been the better decision. So here's where the spam on the back line comes down. You can see I just dropped Whelp eggs and also the safe pilot on the back line here. It's already dealing quite a significant amount of damage. I'm cycling through to Whelp eggs, and this is where harpies come in useful on this level. A lot of gold to get going down the left and right channel. There's always gold spawning, so having harpies and having kobolds just running down the left and right channel is really strong. You can see here, just trying to cycle. I think we actually do take out the healer, which makes this quite trivial at this point now. Once the healer's down, this becomes a very, very simple fight. He's much, much easier to kill, especially if both the Lieutenants are alive. And you can see I struggled with this one the least out of all of the levels because it's a lot easier to do than the first two bosses. And that gave me my fully golden Rend deck. Now, obviously not as useful because this dungeon is now rotating. I actually need to go and do... I've got about half an hour to go and do some General Dracosath before bed. And the tactics of those bosses really helped me. So you can do this with any boss. I think whenever Diamol comes around, you can have, as long as you've got Whelp eggs and another unbound minion, I think you'll find that this is something that you can do on pretty much any boss. I'm using the same tactic in my General Dracosath deck, so you can pretty much do this on any leader. Just have Whelp eggs and probably Safe Pilot in your deck, preferably with those two talents, and you'll find that you'll be able to climb a little higher than your deck's threshold. I was able to beat, even though Rend was level 22, the majority of my deck was below level 20, or at least my average level was around level 20. So that's 2 levels higher, and that's I'd call that a pretty decent upswing, and that gives me my very, very strong now. And that was level 20 average with the full gold deck, by the way. Obviously, it was a little bit lower than level 20 average when I didn't have the full gold deck, but yeah, I think performed pretty well, and hopefully it helps you guys out. I'll see you soon.